for illumined life to be birthed into form. I am the truth. I am the light. Illumined, beloved divine.
So hello there everyone, and welcome to this video with me here today. I'm in a better mood now, but you don't want to know how my day started. Well, I want to share something of a vulnerable nature with you today. I don't want to just be in my power when I share these things and insights and my own personal experiences with you. I'm going to walk you through some of the things that happened, which were a preceding factor to what was unveiled to me, and it will be an introduction to today's topic about mastering and overcoming darkness. Of course. So what happened? Where do I start? At the beginning, as always. So last night we had a huge storm. It started pouring tremendously, and I couldn't sleep all night, right? I was looping in my thoughts because of this situation, because we're waiting for 1 month for them to finish our bathroom because they should replace the door and they're not replacing them, and it's been all kinds of complications and non-started measurements and this and that and bad faulty communication, and it's just been so much, and I couldn't let go. It was so difficult, and of the beloved situation as well simultaneously, this thing I'm holding space for, and it just was too much. I couldn't sleep all night. So in the morning when I woke up, and usually these mornings, especially in the last few weeks, there's like this eruptive, almost like before a volcano energy, that something's just about to explode. That's how I'm feeling. I'm sure that some of you are feeling this collective energy, this pressure. It's a tremendous pressure that just keeps on building and building and building, and it feels like it can't find its resolution. It can't find its, release, its discharge, right? So what happened was, I woke up, and as all the previous days, but today was more intensely, I felt like this entrapped energy, this pressure. I couldn't move my energy, because the reason why I'm so frustrated and deeply sad at this time, and I'm not sharing these things with all of you because, I show up in front of the camera, always excited about the content that's coming through, but the way towards those breakthroughs, it's living hell for me. You have to know that. I'm not really in the space of enjoying for the last 2 years. I haven't really had my life the way I had it before, and there's a reason, I know, but it's been going deeper and deeper into darkness that our mission team has been doing. And so what happened today, I exploded. I couldn't do it anymore. So at a specific point, I felt this entrapped energy because there was no movement, like for such a long time, no movement, this deep sadness and frustration within me because there's no actual movement, because I still feel like a peasant, like a beggar in my own life, like I can't reclaim my life. I can't just feel this spontaneous flow to which life of spirit and the body is supposed to be lived. That's how we are all supposed to live. The reason why we don't live like that is because darkness still claims this planet. We know that. That's why we're here. It has put this almost like this clenching fist over this terrestrial consciousness, and all terrestrial life like hijacked it with it, right? So those of us who are deeply connected with every single element of this creation design and all that it is not, all of the fallen energy, we're feeling everything. Most people are walking day to day like zombies, and most people are walking in this transitional space, not fully awake, becoming more spiritual, doing the work, but mostly still avoiding the actual work. Because let me tell you, if you really live like a woke person on the planet, like fully awake in the Christ, fully awake of the planetary condition, your life will not be easy. Your life will not be like someone recently wished me a nice holiday. I don't have a holiday, I always work 24/7, even when I'm not, I am. Wow, I just noticed beautiful pink bush flowers there on the top of, I'm on this shelf, right? I'll explain the story later. I just look at them and I'm like, oh wow, look at the gift on top of the world today. So it was really, really heavy, this heaviness that just kept on building, and with each complication in our life, like we just can't get through, we can't get this house in order, like it doesn't seem to be working, like everything's going against us. And just today in my coffee cup reading, I was really freaking out because I had a devil hovering above a house, probably our house, and I knew that there's a reason why I'm still being exposed in a way, you know, because I told you before, when we're in a space of feeling emotional, we're vulnerable, we're susceptible to the darkness, and this is how the darkness works. Until our inner child is fully healed, absolutely benevolently neutral, not detached. You can't detach yourself. If you're detached, you're already a part of the darkness, because you're getting into this careless mode, and this is not what illumined light is. We're not careless, we're deeply compassionate. That means feeling with all life, feeling for all of the world, for all of the life on this planet. So you can't be detached. If you're detached, you become a part of the status quo, and that's where the majority of the people is, as you well know. And when you fully wake and live that path with full dedication, full devotion, as I've told you many times before, your life will be like constant battle. And sometimes I get so frustrated of this constant battle, I scream. I literally scream in my pillow. I can't take it anymore. Because even though I deeply am aware of the fact that I'm a mission agent first and everything else second, you know, the beautiful human child, the woman, you know, with feminine desires too, and all that comes with being human and being a woman in the human flesh. Still, I know that I'm a mission agent first, and because of that, my inner child suffers. And I suffer, and my life is suffering. And my mother told me today, everyone around you, like myself, we suffer too, but we're devoted. And so that's the reason why so many people are going away and astray from this path, because no one really wants to hold that amount of light, which is the absolute truth. Because when you're in truth, you see the deeds, the workings of the darkness. You're not ignorant. You're not a blind fool. I've been talking about this. And the more I talk about this, the less people watch my videos, because no one wants to hear about that, because it's easier to live in the status quo. But let me tell you, it's a space that, you know, you're temporarily suffering because you give your life as a sacrifice to the truth. And yet, when you come back to the spirit plane, you are free. And most souls who are unwilling to sacrifice their day-to-day lives based on materialistic needs and ego desires that are selfish in nature, they're not serving the whole. They will not be free when they cross over. They believe that once they cross over, they will be free. No. Because in truth, in this reality as it is now, in this interplay of light and dark, no one is free until they truly ascend. Because only ascension is the state of ultimate freedom. Right? So when I'm serving my days with all my due diligence and going through this difficulty and walking through this maze, sometimes it becomes so suffocating that when these energies are so dense, I can't break free. I can't break through. That's how it feels. And somehow, I don't know how. But I always find a way. This being that is within me, this being, product, a baby, a birthed child of Aurea and Aurea, somehow finds a way. But what happened today is I just went in my room. I couldn't handle it anymore. And I had another emergency call with my mother, and I said, please come here. I just need us to hold each other. And we like deeply stayed in the deepest hug, like intertwined, just holding the space of love. Like that's all that we needed to do. It was so dark today, my beloveds. And that's one of the things I never share. I always share the insights that come after the breakthrough. I don't share the vulnerabilities of my life. I don't share how I'm pulling my hair out, you know, how I'm being stressed out and over, besides everything that I've already lost as a part of this ascension transgression path. And everything seems to be just like at a cost. It comes at a cost, you know, this mission comes at a cost for me all the time. And I'm losing my fans, I'm losing people around me, I'm losing people who actually care, I'm losing devotees, and it's not personal. It's not like I'm losing them. But God is losing them, you know what I mean? Because I do serve God, and I serve Spirit of Life, and life is as it is, and we're liberating life here. But unfortunately, there's not enough people doing this work. And I'll get to the message later. So what happened was, we were held in a deep embrace, and I was crying out like crazy. I said again, I won't survive this. I just can't, I won't. And I prayed, and Mother prayed over me. She prays in her specific tongue when she does that. And it's like a prayer in tongues, they say, right? It's her way of prayer. And it's very, it's like that prayer with all your heart, just God, just have mercy, deliver us through this experience, right? That is this darkness keeping us in this clenched fist. It doesn't want to let go, and it truly freakingly doesn't want to let go, you know? And when that happens, and we're going to talk about this today, how to deal with darkness when it doesn't want to let go. It's the second part of the training. But let me explain how this comes, right? When you're fully awake and aware. And then I asked, just please give me one seed of light that I can hold on to in this moment. Give me one tiny seedling, because in this moment, when this is being flushed out, when I'm just before a breakthrough, right? Another one. Because they're consecutive, they're following one another. And just before that breakthrough, I need something, like one piece of information that can be my solid rock in that moment so that I can survive the breakthrough. Because you have to know, not everyone survives these breakthroughs. When the light enters into dark, the light can be suffocated. And that's what was happening with transgression all those years. I was being literally obliterated and suffocated, but still I survived. So I was asking, I was praying, my mother was praying with intention, and then I finally stopped, hissing and fussing and crying and sobbing. I found a little bit of the easier breath, breath found me again. And then my mother gave me this guidance, and we're always getting the same guidance. It's always the same. I see it the same way. And she said, the clear image that all the masters of Illumined Light are showing me is that there's simply not enough light on this planet. It's not enough. They're saying there's very few mission agents like myself. And don't say light workers. No, light workers are not mission agents. Mission agents are beings that are not of earthly origin. They primarily have never been on Earth. We embody our life force intelligence differently. We serve a different purpose in creation, but somehow we have a purpose. And these illumined light beings, as we were shown, there's only a few left on the planet, scattered across the globe, each suffering, each toiling. They're not famous people. You don't know about them. You don't hear about them. They're not rich. They're not famous. They're just living the path of a mission agent, of a Christed illumined being in the human body. And they all work with their due diligence, and they're all trying just so hard to survive and not give up this game. This what we're working together as one mission team for. Right? The project of Illumined Union. And at the same time, the problem is threefold. They said at the first level, there's not enough mission agents left. A lot of them quit. A lot of them died. I told you the story with my beloved, who was my counterpart, and I felt him for such a long time in holding space. And to be honest, I'm still not sure. I really am not sure if he's alive. I don't think he survived as well. Because that's just how I'm feeling the energy. Like he feels far off, like in a distant star. So it's sad for me, to know this, but it is what it is, I don't cry in front of the camera. I cry enough at home. But don't let my vehement and beautiful illumined child nature fool you, because I'm living in this last 2 years a period of deep sadness, like I have to do this work, and a part of me is so sad. It's so unfulfilled, and this inner child within me just wants love, like everyone else's human experience. I just want to be held, I want to experience how it is to be around a masculine that makes you feel safe, that it can be your partner, in crime, whatever, the good, the bad, the ugly. And I don't have that, because of the specific reasons, and everything the dark has been doing. That's one thing. And the second thing is because not a lot of people would be willing to be with the kind of person like myself, because I'm too much for them, and the mission is too much. And the mission is my own. I would never expect someone to understand that. It's just my thing. But still, it's difficult. And that's why my family of light always tells me, we're trying really hard, for you to get a partner, but it's hard. And I'm like, yeah, I know it's hard. I'm aware. I'm well aware. I can't even talk today, right? And so it's been getting really hard for me. I have to tell you that. I've been feeling like I want to quit, and I'm not showing this in front of the camera, there's moments when I'm like, I can't, I need to let go. And so today when they said the problem is threefold, right? There's not enough mission agents left, they said. There's so few people who are holding the intensity of the light as you are. There's just a minimum amount left. It's not enough, they said. For this moment, it's not enough, they said. I don't think many beings want to come at Earth at this point. Even illumined light beings, they're not all as brave and capable of going into this mess. You need to be very feisty being in order to do that as a light being, because you don't belong here. It's not your world, it's not your realm, but still you come. You come for the liberty. You come in the name of God. You come in the name of self-service and sacrifice to the ultimate plan of perfection, the grand design. So the second problem is there's not a lot of people left listening and doing the work. And third level, people doing the work, and then there's not a lot of people who are willing to step on this path, like become devotees. It all kind of consecutively falls into place. It starts at the top, if it's not enough, then all the other things, like domino effect, are part of the same result. So they told me this through my mother today. They said, you have the entirety of your right to not hold the energy anymore. You can choose. You're a free being. It doesn't mean you now stop service, but you can choose freely to stop serving, to stop holding the energy because it became so dense. And they explain it like, they explain it because now we're so close to the edge, which means we're close to that final liberation. We are, my beloveds. But why I'm explaining this is that one body, you have one incarnation, you have this one body. That one body in its lifetime as I've lived. You might believe, well, this in front of you is the body of in September I will be 38. A body of a 38-year-old woman. No, my body is as old now in light that has moved through me as the ordinary human would experience in their, let's say, approximately 70 to 80, maybe 90 years if they're lucky and eat well. They would be at that age. That means how much energy they've moved and experiences they had. That's how age is actually measured, not in years. At that age, they said, I'm very, very old. That's why I have symptoms that old people have sometimes, But it's my energy of the light being that keeps me youthful and exuberant. So it's difficult because they are kind of in contradiction with each other. Like my body doesn't feel the way it used to before. And people would say, well, luckily you survived. No, my beloveds, for me, for illumined light beings, that's not enough. It's not enough to just survive and I'm limping and I'm barely breathing and holding on. No, because then I can't move my energy because my energy is intense and I got to find a way to move it. And that's what the darkness has been trying so hard, blocking me, because if the body is not capable, you can have all this power and intensity of a being, but you can't move it through and you're stuck. And I'm feeling like this, like stuck for over 2 years now. And I just can't move through. Finally, I have that final resolution. So they said they understand that for one body to hold this for such a long amount of time, unconditionally, without a complaint, just serving, like being bounced back off, like again, just going back and bouncing off every single time they give me this new thing to work through, the darkness, I mean. And I keep on bouncing off and bouncing back and still. And they said, you're completely entitled to no longer hold the energy and hold the space. Others can come, others will come, they always will. And they said, either way you will ascend because you're already an ascended being. But for most humans, they will not. That's the problem. And that is why I'm so dedicated to this. Because humans will not ascend if they don't follow through these steps that actually liberate a soul through the body. You have to go through the entire illumination process. You can't skip the steps. And there's few people now that are taking this journey seriously and that they're still enjoying my videos, even with all the hardship and the difficulties explained. And Spirit still giving people the ultimate realistic message, because anyone now will sell you a fallen and false truth or half truth for a very, well-rounded price. I don't do that. When I have an individual session with someone on my page, it states like up to 2 hours. My sessions always end up being 4 hours long, 2 hours of deep conversation, a person going through a deep remembrance. And then we do light activation like yesterday we did one. It was 2 hours long. I said, let's do a half an hour one. No, I can't help it. That's how Spirit moves through me. I do anything until the last moment so the person could shift. So the energy could move again. So we can say, once again, we were victorious. One more light quotient and, liberated. One more for the team being all. The team plays for the entirety of all life. But the reason why people are losing their interest is because for them it just becomes too. They prefer the easy life, the stagnant life, but there's no growth there. Soul will continuously be recycled. No, my beloved, the soul, if it doesn't choose growth, it will continuously be recycled. Have you heard about recycling of souls yet? I'm sure you did. And it's not a new agey term. It's quite a difficult term to actually understand. It's not easy. Okay, so they told me this, and when I finally found my peace again, you know what I said? Classic Polona Aurea. Classic me. I said, but I don't want to give up. I'm too stubborn. That's me. I'm so stubborn that I will not quit. Maybe in the end, I don't know, maybe it will be my own demise for not letting it go. They said, you can choose to let go, but they said at the same time, you already know too much, they said, to let go. And it's true. Before, in those 7 years when I lived in my beautiful place, I had my mountains, I had my river, I had my streams, I had everything. Well, I had a crappy apartment that wasn't perfect, but still, and the apartment was nice, but, the building and the people, I won't go into details. But until I was just this elven being and getting just these partial truths, still not like the entirety of how the darkness is and how dirty it plays and what it does and how it hijacks consciousness of people. Until then, I was still safe. I just had some minor deficiencies, like they were sending me stalkers and online harassment and, like trolls and these things, so I'd quit. But when I started doing the pulsar, when I started connecting with light being, my light being family, the light being within, and the truths they were sending me, that's when transgression happened, remember? So they cut me off, and that's what they did, the same thing to many mission agents. They're probably wondering why this one, which is me, is so stubborn. I don't know. I wonder sometimes about me too. I look at myself in the mirror, look in my eyes, and I would go, who are you? Who are you, this being behind my eyes? Why do you persist? Why are you so persistent? Why are you so stubborn? What are you doing? Who are you? What's your secret? And at the same time, what's your curse, And I know I'm a blessing to this planet, like not just a regular blessing, but I'm also, in my own life, I get cursed all the time. Because it's just so important what we're doing, and darkness is like, no, we're not wanting that. We're cutting it off. And that's why, I'm alone. And that's the reason, not because I'm not loving. I always say, the partner who would get to be with me would be the luckiest person on the planet, because I give so much love, and that person will be ultimately loved up and taken care of. But I, in the same time, also need to be taken care of, It can't be one-sided. That's why for me it was difficult to find a partner, they said, because there's just not a person who will be able to just be so devoted, and all it takes is devote and say, yes, I commit to you, yes, for better or worse. That's how my mother is. And that's why for now I have a feminine beloved. It's my mother, and she's ultimately always by my side. And yeah, I don't want to get teary today, but it is that kind of day for me. And you also have to see that side of the story. You can't just see the good. You also have to see the difficulty. And you have to know, when I was just living in this first part of my mission, my work was flourishing, and I was getting donations, and people were supporting me, and I was so happy. And I also, managed to get some savings in the last 2 years. Now, first and foremost, I don't get donations anymore, like very rarely, from just a few, always the same people who are always there at the backbone of the purpose, like very few individuals. Then I can no longer do my work as I used to, because you see how difficult it is for me to even get around to be with myself in my space, in my silence. It took me so long to just have one channeling done, because there's so much distraction, constant, like someone constantly throwing bricks under your legs. So you'd keep on running and, fighting and fighting. And sometimes I say, I can't fight it anymore. I can't. I just want to let go. And I want to stop holding space. And I just want to become a regular human, get married and do stuff. But like they said, you know too much. Your consciousness your energy would always be with the collective energy. And this what's happening. And they said, we're so close to this ultimate release now. We're so close to that edge, they said. And that's why it's so difficult. And that's why we would need more backup, more people, more supporters. Like I would need more donators. I would need more sponsors. I would need a partner. All these things, I tell you honestly, I need them now. Where I am now at this point in my life, and I'm being very vulnerable today, I need all these things. I need them. Without them, I can just say goodbye to this planet, period. Because I won't survive through breadcrumbing. I can't live like Alice in Wonderland, or, like Hansel and Gretel getting those cookies and getting themselves caught in the witch's, cage. I can't. I need more backup. I need more reserves, And people don't understand these things. They think, oh, the light works in its own way. It's so easy. No, on the planet, there's constant distractions, disruptions. The light is not self-obvious. Not here, not on earth. And because people take first the path of light ones, illumined ones for granted, they take those of us who are their descendants, their offspring, their incarnates here for granted. And they think, oh, everything will just unfold perfectly and beautifully. Stop dreaming. Stop being Alice in the Wonderland yourself. So the darkness has, as you know, it hijacked all my life, all my reality, everything. I managed to get a lot of things back, but not in entirety, that's the truth. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like that. So they're telling me I have to be completely neutral now. Even with the place, if it's not done, I have to say, fine, F it. F it, for real. They said, that's how you have to become now. Because when you're vulnerable and you're like, oh, why? That's when you get into the inner wound, the child. And that's when they get you. So we're going to be talking about this in the second part of today's video. But first I want to share with you that they didn't just hijack me in my own life. They're doing very bad deeds, the transgressionists and dark ones, to hijack my support team, my devotees, and my beloved. Same thing. By sending these lower thoughts. And I'll explain today how dark thoughts look, appear, so you can learn to recognize them in your body. But I had the session yesterday with a beautiful being. We did the second part of the session through spirit guided transmission. And this was a beautiful, very long, extensive 2-hour channeling, like a journey. And at the end, the individual was like speechless. There's so much coming through. But in the beginning, when we started talking a little bit about the darkness and how difficult for us was to even meet, since the person paid for the session, and when we finally able to meet, was very difficult. And they said to me, just before you actually texted me, we can have it now. It was a spontaneous meetup. They say to me, I was already about to quit. I got this heavy thought in my mind. I'm just going to quit. I'm even not just the session. I'm going to quit the group. I'm going to quit Patreon. I'm going to quit everything. And she told me that it was this very, very heavy thought, like thought of despair, like giving up. And I said, see, why my work is so powerful. They don't just hijack me in my work, but now they're hijacking the way people perceive me, so people could start going the other way. So souls couldn't find the space of remembrance, because through me, that's through these sessions, it's so instantaneous for the souls. I've had this with many, many beings. Sometimes in sessions, like instant remembrance. And it's not to brag, it's just how spirit moves through me. And it moves people. And it moves the individual to finally see how simple the truth really is. And I said, see, that meant that our session together will be very, very important, especially the second part, which is a directly channeled transmission. And it was true, and I will share bits and pieces of that transmission in my Patreon's Galactic Update. There's not a lot of you interested, but those of you who are, I will welcome you aboard. Either way, you are always welcome, even with all the lack of interest. So today also what I want to mention, besides this, right, I went through the forest then, because when this happens and when I release, I need to go outside in nature to anchor. So I said I need to go to the forest. That's usually how I work. I need to ground myself. And when I anchor, I can find that space of anchoring the new breakthrough again. So each breakthrough that's just ahead of me, darkness has an overlay built around it, so they would try to hijack it so I wouldn't create a new breakthrough. And so then my body would be exhausted, because when the body exhausted, and they do now with all this housework and the renovations and the workers and the complications and the dark ones coming through and all the shit. Sorry guys, but it's true. I mean, you don't know what we went through in this last few months. I don't even want to say it, because then no one will believe it, by the way. No one will believe it. That's how bad it is, And that's the reason why I don't want to talk about these things, because my focus is not on how bad things are. My focus is on what can we do about it. Wake up, right? That was always my focus. That's how I am. And then I walked through this hill and I see these foresters, and they were asking me where I'm going, because it's just like no man's land. I'm like, I'm just going. I need my forest. So I come to this clearing space. It's all cut down, the forest. It's a huge clearing space, and it's so difficult to walk through it because of all the branches and piled up material and stones and heavy rocks. And it was exactly the feeling that I had today, like my life is, by the way, and overall, like walking through a maze and stumbling. You know how many times I got hurt in my body because I had to stumble through difficult terrain? And even the way I live in nature, I don't usually choose the modest paths. I will choose the road less traveled. That's just my nature. I don't know. Some part of me is somehow sickishly enjoying it. I don't know. It's getting off of that. I don't know. But it's been like this so far. Maybe the darkness is pushing me towards a more difficult path. I don't know. I'm just telling you I don't have all the answer. The only thing I know for real is that I am the being. I am an Illumined mission agent. I do this work. I'm holding the space for Illumined Union to occur. And that's all I know. And when it comes to earthly things, there's a lot of things I'm still clueless about. But I do understand, and through this journey of going and walking my own way, I've come to realize how the darkness plays and how it works. And that's my gift, and that's what I can share with you. Because everyone who will ascend eventually will come across darkness directly in their face. Everyone. That's how it is. Otherwise, you will not ascend. Because it's like the guardian of the gates, you know, like in Egypt, that's like Anubis, that dog. It's the guardians of the gates to the, you know, and we say, well, the underworld. Well, yeah, you have to meet the underworld to get on top. It's like the underworld, and going through it is the key to the upper world, the upper realm. And we're in this middle space, middle earth, right? In Shire, in Lord of the Rings, we're the middle place now. So I walked here, I found this peak, and I don't know if you can see, but there's a view of the village, it's tiny little cottage houses. And it's like the symbolism of my life, stumbling through a maze, but I got here. Probably walked for half an hour just to get from a very close proximity from one side to this side here, because of all the material and the branches that it's fallen through the, you know, where they were clearing the space and doing all the tree cutting. Deforestation at large now happening here, by the way, and everywhere on the planet. The wind. Oh, the wind. Hot wind. So I came here and actually found this hill full of crystalline stones. I was like so excited. And I found this white one, this shimmering white one, and I just had to hold it. Because sometimes holding stone, you know, it anchors me. And I was connecting to the crystalline prism, the crystalline realm, the mineral kingdom again. And I was being told, well, you already had that, remember? The first connection that I made, by the way, when I moved to my previous place where I had my residency for 7 years. The first connection I made through the mineral kingdom. Remember, I did all these stone things and things from stones, and all the time around crystals. I even still have, you know, these crystal cave crystals. I still have them. They're still on my webpage. You know, it can help to support my work if you get some, by the way. And they're beautiful, very powerful stones. And so today, I was reminded by my spirit team that this is how I anchor, connect to the mineral prism, right? Because sometimes I get ahead of myself and I'm like, no, I need to finish this physical work, and then I'm going to start focusing on the mission again and doing the tantric work for liberation and getting my body back fully, not just the initial work we seated now. And they're like, no, you can't go like this. You have to do it side by side, hand in hand, which is difficult for me because I'm the kind of person, to be honest, I'm a Virgo, so I like to have my space pure, and I'm like, I need to do this first so then I can focus on this fully and holy with all my presence and have the whole month for free just for that. And Spirit's like, that's a nice ideal, but Earth, nope. And so I'm learning to accept more that life is never, okay, then it's going to stop, and then I'm going to have a 2-week or 1 month retreat and nothing will happen. They were like, sorry, nah, meh, try again. And when you get really real with yourself, when you get realistic, you understand these things. So, okay, enough for that. Let's get into today's topic. I know it was a long preview, but this is exactly what I needed to talk about in order for you to know that when I talk about the darkness, I don't speak about it in theory. I live this every day. My day consists of hell and heaven, and I'm here. The body is the middle realm, the middle world for me. Trapped somehow in between these two worlds, and I have to somehow properly balance it. And when these breakthroughs are happening, I have to find something to anchor, because if I can't anchor, my energy will be spinning and looping and fragmented. So the first thing I will talk about before we get to how the darkness works and how our energy, when it's fragmented, it serves the darkness, not ourselves and the light, is there's 3 types of main energy that are now needed to be resolved. I'm going to hold this still. By people if they want to move beyond these 3 main modes of, it's almost like aspects of denial, right? Not just denial to darkness, but denial of life. Because as we well know, life is both darkness and light. And here in this realm, it expresses itself through this very particular dualistic nature that we need to understand, explore, and master, period. No ascension if that's not done. You can't ascend through a book. No matter how many books you have in your Ascension New Age library, you can't ascend that way. And the reason why people don't like my videos, like the majority of the people, because I speak the truth. They don't want to hear that. They're not ready for it. Most people not at least. And so, yeah, Ascension Library is here and in your root. 3 main portals we talk about, right? And so these 3 main energies are the energy of avoidance, the energy of pride, and the energy like pride or ignorance, and the energy, pride and arrogance, and then third one, the energy of, what did I just say? Ignorance. So the ignorance is the kind of energy when you're just ignoring, you don't want to see, you don't see at all. Pride, like resistance through pride, is the kind of energy you already feel, somehow, you feel that's the truth and that's the work you should be doing, but you're refusing to do so. That's arrogance, that's pride. It's kind of being boastful, like a rooster, being cocky, yeah? The third one, avoidance, is like, it's like all on the platter, but you're still avoiding to do the work. So there's three main energies that everyone on this path has to successfully overcome, not partially and just initially, but successfully in all levels. And it takes work. And sometimes all it takes is the courage to say, yes, I will overcome. Because everyone is being influenced by the shadow in different ways. But trust me, the darkness needs its source of food. It needs life force provided by many, many beautiful beings of light. And because I come to liberate not just myself and the planet and the collective creation core principle design, but also people belonging to that design, I'm being always run down and run over by these forces that want to be. So yes, we're very close to that breakthrough. And today we're going to talk about some of the main principles of how to recognize this. So the darkness, in a nutshell, it functions in a way to keep you in a low vibration state. That's why it works on depleting your life force. We already talked about in the mission update how these entities are sucking your energy, even sexually, especially sexually, by the way, through karmic relationships, through situations that keep being in repetition, so that you're mentally plugging into them, but the mental energy never solves problems. Not in the higher frequency that we call the ascended frequency. The ascended design is different than the locked-in matrix design. When we say, well, the mind is created to fix problems. Yeah, in the lower world, it has been so, because the mind was a design, a byproduct of these beings, the fallen beings, because the original design, I've talked about this before, and this is in all my courses on Patreon as well. There's three main portals that the human, through the Elohim family of light, has been created. The crown, the heart, and the root. And in the initial stages, we had the Buddhic mind, or the Bodhi mind, the Christos heart, and the Elohim principle of life. Right? So we have the Buddhi, the Christos, and the El, or the Elven, the Elohim, which is the life-based principle that is the sleeping serpent within our body. These three main principles, and those are the three main principles the darkness keeps on locking in, keeping locked in, hijacking, manipulating, so that humans could not wake their serpent through these portals. Everyone can wake up the serpent. You need to start doing life force mastery work. Either way, you need to start moving your energy. So what darkness is doing in our life day to day, because it rules the elemental kingdom still. In the majority, right? Not entirely. But it still has equally, light and dark have governance over the the elemental kingdom. The elemental kingdom is everything you see being composed of in this planet. Even our bodies are, physical bodies, body, elemental. You know that. So the darkness works on hijacking this and influencing the mineral kingdoms and the elemental kingdoms. Probably that's why I'm holding this today, to reconnect back and say no, And that's the way it functions and the way it operates. So when it can do that, it causes forces that come against you, like, a stubborn individual, a terrible 3D worker, that will screw you over, things like that. That's all a part of the elemental nature, the body elemental. That's how the darkness works. And that means, like when I say throwing the darts at you, because it can, because you hold physical body composed of elements, elemental. That's the El. The elemental stems from the word Elohim, El, the language of light. It's one of the first words spoken is El. God as, what was that word? Emmanuel, yeah? And men. But it begins with the Elohim principle of life. Our highest wisdom is when 3 body portals are awakened again and restored, rejuvenated, and fully sealed and anchored in the human body template. That's the base for when we can even start talking about the light body, illumined light body. Without that, you can't even talk about illumined light body, okay? And no one will tell you that but me, because I understand these things, because I am an illumined being, and that's the knowledge we hold and possess and keep on sharing with those who are willing to be open. So darkness works on elementally creating these overlays, right? We've talked about this before. So when the darkness creates havoc and chaos in our lives, it makes our energy, well, our energy becomes, sorry, I have to sit differently because, you know, the body gets numbed. So the energy gets fragmented. When we're in fragmented energy, we cannot anchor. When we cannot anchor, it means our portals are somehow, there's not a full direct alignment of source running through. Life force cannot directly move through us. That's when we feel like the energy cannot move through our bodies. We can't move the energy. That's how I've been feeling for a very long time now. So they would work on hijacking all these 3 portals. Remember when I first started sharing about the transgression phenomena and what they did? They hijacked all the 3 portals. And now we're just about ready to get the physical body one back. That's when they will hit and strike the hardest, because it's the last one standing, the body one, the body elemental. If you can do that, that means you have to be completely benevolently neutral about anything, anyone, or everything. Which means no emotional affiliation with anything. It's difficult for us because as humans we carry emotions. Higher, lower, doesn't matter. Still emotions. We are emotive by nature. We emit light, and that light interacts with these different particles, and we get emotional. We have these different emotional reactions, responses, and in our relationships, that's kind of like the energies are meeting, and it's very beautiful because that's still chemical nature and how the human was designed to be. But when you're doing breakthrough work like I myself, you somehow have to find a way to not plug off those emotions, but to bring them to the level of complete neutral state, which is a state of deep feeling. Feeling is different than emoting or emotions. Feeling is just feeling life as it is. It's completely realistically neutral, period. You might love someone deeply, but you remain neutral. You remain not detached, but non-attached. Because the moment you're emotionally connecting and plugging in, you're going to be exposed as there's going to be a hub of that which wants to plug itself into you and start draining your life force. When our life force, because first we're vulnerable because our energy is fragmented, we're not being focused and tentative in our lives, we're being scattered, we become vulnerable, we become susceptible, and then we become depleted, we become drained out. That's the next stage. And when we're being drained out, life force is running out, we're no longer having the right support, the physical life force systems that we need either for the work I'm doing, for breakthroughs, to create abundance in our life, to have a solid partnership, to feel love, and being even able to give love and receive love. All of this starts with having vitality through life force that begins with spirit. Then it enters the body elemental, right? So that's how the darkness works. It wants to hijack that the light of source is this beautiful ever-unfolding white spiral, could not fully come, starting at the booty level, the crystals, and then into the body temple, the Elohim, the El. So that's that. And because people are first unaware of that, they don't know how to even begin, they're always coming and repeating the same circles. I have all the knowledge about this, my beloveds, and still I'm being drained and depleted. I know it's not so easy. But someone, eventually, if they want to ascend, they have to start somewhere. And we're just, I'm showing you the path. And that's all I can do. And I can share my experiences. I can share the difficulties and the rewards. Because the rewards are tremendous as well. When you get to your spirit form, yeah? Maybe not always on earth you get everything you need and desire, but rewards for your soul and its freedom and liberty are tremendous. You cannot imagine. That's the one thing I can assure you. And so when we had this conversation yesterday with that divine counterpart, beautiful being, sister of light, we had our session and then we discussed this for a while, and I was starting to tell her about how the darkness works. So what it does is each time you're just ahead of a new breakthrough, just before it will create another overlay, right? We talked about this before. People who are always living in the same routine, they won't experience that. But people who are moving their energy, people who literally are ascending, they will start experiencing that. And they might say, well, suddenly I'm having ascension symptoms. Well, it's not symptoms. It's anything but. It's all that it's still in this realm held at the density of the body elemental and the mineral kingdom that is still being governed by the aspects of the darkness. So that's what we're doing. That's why Source said in one of my last channelings how each cell, particle per particle, is shifting and being illuminated. It's a work of art, and it's gradual, because it's literally moving the body elemental to its next stage of development. So ascension is not I close my eyes, I dream of ascending, and I'm off into fifth dimension. Yeah, good luck with that, because it's not like that. Life is beautiful, but it's also very, when you're fully grounded, when you're a grounded being, when you're fully aware, awake, all your centers functioning as one, your column of white light unified, you know the reality. Only then you cannot be fooled. I cannot be deceived anymore. The only thing that darkness can now do in my own life is create disruptions and delays and prolonging the inevitable. So we've been talking about this yesterday, and I explained to the being, when the darkness comes and it gives you these heavy thoughts, when it's a thought of darkness, it's not your own. Remember, again, human is a divine being of creator born, mother, father, source, God, born, birthed, unified, always one, does not function. The human mind, the true human mind is not like that. When there's a heavy thought, and the thought is usually restricting in nature, it is dominant, is domineering, it's telling you what to do, it feels a thought of despair, it's heavy, it's always a no, or it's telling you can't have that, you can't, you're not good enough, this, that. That's a dark overlay. That is not your own thought. People will tell you these negative thoughts are your own design and creation. No one speaks about these things the way I do, because they absolutely, let me tell you the ultimate truth, they are not your creation. At least not your original creation. Somehow, somewhere, you're being split in your original consciousness. You can't tap into it fully and directly, and so you're tuning into the fragmented reality. Soul fragments exist, and in that way, you become more vulnerable because you're no longer full in your oversoul tuning into. Truly, the nature of soul as an original soul is the design, the blueprint that's called the oversoul, right? As an individual, soul built many fragments that through eons of time got distorted and more fragmented. That's why it's difficult for people to fill with all their being, because you need that light quotient to know the truth, and they've somehow been dispersing it throughout these eons of time. And that's one of the reasons why these difficult relationships and circumstances exist that we call karmic, so they can bring you to the level of that eventually becoming extinct, because you need to be pushed over the edge to see the real you in opposition to all that is false, all that's limited. The you that is so limiting, that's not the real you. That is not your soul, my beloved. That's just a tiny fragment of your personality that now you're identifying with, and you think that's all that I am. No freaking way. Every one of us is so much more. And where the creation begins, it actually begins with the divine trinity, divine primary of light beings that created all the human family and offspring. We're going to talk about this in the Galactic Update on Patreon, not here, because I do need to save some of the work for those who actually want to do the work, not just listen and then 1 year out. That's going to be this month's update. And I'm going to explain more about human seed or star seed, all of that, and the process, how this is actually a process within us as we're ascending. And so this divine primary, this divine trinity within us is the only way, is the only truth that actually is our ascended self. And there's a way towards there. And some people, some souls would find it, others would not. Some would quit prematurely, some would persevere, and all that. But through this fragmentation, there's distortion links being formed. So you can no longer, as an individual, fully link up with your soul. And the guidance you're receiving is not directly coming from your soul. Hence, darkness that's being encircled and recycling of the souls is coming through and telling you a narrative like, well, this is what you need to do. This is the job you're supposed to have. This is a relationship that is for you. And it's like, most of it is familiar. It's inherited through the family, like family businesses, relationships that your family agrees with, but you're unhappy. Things like that. Bonds, not bondages, we talked about this before. And somehow darkness likes that because it keeps an individual in a repetitive, never changing vibratory state. They can't enter their true natural vortex. Because when you enter your vortex, you're spinning, that's when the darkness cannot hijack you. So when I do the breakthroughs through the pulsar, I begin to spin in my body, and that's when all this is just dissolving away, particle per particle. But the reason why it's not so sudden and instant and easy is because it's just a gradual process, right? It would be too much for the body. And because my body already suffered so much and tremendously due to transgression, the family probably said, it's okay even if you quit. It's not really quitting, it's just saying the body can no longer handle this, and off I go. They said, either way you ascend, because you are an ascended being. Your consciousness is ascended, so no worries. But still, you know, I'm so devoted to this mission, and I'm so stubborn, I can't see myself quitting. Not yet, at least. Not yet. I will inform you if this ever happens, but not yet. You've seen how hard they try. They gave me this transgression. They gave me this thing in my body. It's caused so much pain and suffering. They hijacked my beloveds, you know. They're now hijacking my group followers, I guess. That's what I gotten as a feedback yesterday, and I was so grateful for the person telling me that. I was like, thank you for sharing this. Now at least I know it's the truth, and it means my work is doing good. Because when your work is really good and profound, that's when they try so hard. So I'm not here to grieve or mourn about these things, but I want to openly talk about them. Because as you know, I'm an authentic being. Nothing else I can be. It's all I am and ever will be. So I don't know for now. I'm still giving it a go. But as you've seen, they tried everything. They even told me I no longer have a mission. They told me all these fake things and lies, and you know, I get so many no's in my head, and I know it's them, and I'm like, okay. So the last thing I want to talk about today is how you have to treat darkness to prevent it treating you. Because it wants to treat you the way it wants to treat you. So you don't have no say, right? So you're left, you know, unspoken for. So how you need to treat it is like you would treat someone who's done something bad. You put it in a corner. Okay? So my team already explained this to me, that when I get like this, like divine rage, it literally works instantaneously, and you need a bit of that anger. It's divine anger. It's divine wrath. It's not when you're angry at a person because, you know, they stole your book, or, you know, they didn't call you. It's not that kind of anger. It's divine rage. It's that, enough is enough. You know, it's like that, the rage of the volcano that moves the energy. That's what I use. That's what comes to me naturally when that happens. And then it's the crying, the tear, releasing, and then I need to anchor. Those are 3 main steps for me. But when this happens, when you get a thought like that, when you get a heavy thought, the reason why these thoughts are more prominent than your own thoughts, because human thoughts are usually loving thoughts, because humans were designed as loving beings. So don't confuse a human being totally negative and like spinning as they're just that kind of person. No, it's just someone who has lots of entity attachments, lots of possession even sometimes, and lots of whisperers. And maybe sometimes that's a really strong energetic being, but they haven't yet walked into their power, so the darkness tries very hard for them not to. Yeah? And the only thing I can do is share about it. I can't make anyone do the work. So when that happens, is because the dark is stronger than most humans still is. That's why you need to develop yourself to grow over darkness, to become stronger than darkness, which means you need to develop your threefold flame in all its glory, love, wisdom, power, the Trinity of God within you. We're going to talk about that on Patreon this month. And so when you do that, you become stronger. And when you're stronger, of course, they still exist. You can't deny darkness, but you will know how to work through it and with it. So the way we, as my family of light, we function is we move with the darkness. They told me this just recently. They said we move into darkness because we need to understand it. And that's why sometimes when you, just before a breakthrough, you feel like you're stuck in a dense energy for quite a while. And you're like, why do I have to be in this energy for such a long time? It's because they're studying it. They're sitting with it. They're anchoring the light within it. And when it's just about the right divine timing, they would send another impulse for me to shift and have that breakthrough. That's how we operate. That's what I was shown. So they said the light works and sits in the dark with the dark to understand it. And that's how the breakthrough then happens. That's what they explained it to me. That's why sometimes it's so difficult. When I have these days when it's a heavy, dense, I can't be myself and feel. That's what they're doing. And I'm volunteering. They said you can easily say no and we stop doing it, but I'm not saying no yet. Fingers crossed. Not now. Not yet. And so you have to know that in that moment, the thought overlay is stronger than your own human thought. It overpowers you. And that's one of the reasons why people don't understand why the thought is so all-consuming. Why it's so negative. It's because it's stronger than your thought. And the only way to increase your own thoughts is through life force. You don't increase your thoughts by thinking harder. You know, when you're trying to solve the mind with the mind, you know, like that quote, the consciousness that created the problem cannot solve it. Of course. You shift your thoughts and make them stronger by making them more magnetic. We've talked about this before, and this is what life force cultivation, practice, and mastery does. When you know how, and when you manage to magnetize your thoughts, like making them more magnetic, they will eventually increase over, break through those dark thoughts. That's the breakthroughs we're doing. That's why you need to do the cultivation and then the spin and open up the vortex and then have the breakthrough through those dense and trapped and, like clashing particles that keep things entrapped, locked in. So that's that. And in that moment, first you have to recognize that thought, that it's not your own. If it's not a loving thought, it's not coming from your own human beingness, your light, your love. It is definitely not. All you need to do is be aware that it's not your thought. That's the first source of empowerment, because if you take it as your own, you take it. You make it yours, by the way, right? So then you have to tell it no. It has to be physically spoken firm no. It's not enough to say it in your mind. Because, why? Are you paying attention in the school of mastery? Because this is the elemental realm. This is the elemental world. The elemental world has a specific frequency, right? How do we activate crystals? Singing to them, right? Sound, frequency. You have to put the sound through it. And the sound is no. Back off. Get in the corner. I'm choosing this instead. It takes a while to be trained that way. I am training myself all my life. Still not always in it. But more and more, I'm becoming an adept of this and more masterful. Not just an adept, but also, or adept, or I don't know what it's called. But also a master. And we really need to send it into a corner. Because when you tell it no, you're taking your sovereignty as a source being. And you say, no. And one no is not enough. One activation of light is not enough. One breakthrough is not enough. Why? Because ascension, again, it's a gradual process. And each vortex in the body, we're opening up again, releasing the entrapped elemental energy that is still indoctrinated and manipulated through the dark governing of the elemental realm and the kingdom, is the return of the kingdom of the Elohim, the pure ones, the immaculate ones. How do we do it? Each time gradually releasing, unleashing more and more. That's how it works. That's the only way it works. And so each new breakthrough, a new process, a new no, demanding sound, move the sound, sing, chant. Then you need to start moving the energy. You need to do the walk, a dance, singing, something. You need to move the energy because the darkness works in keeping us stuck. When I'm sitting behind the table, what to do, the solution never comes. Probably had the same, right? I'm sure of it. You have to move the energy. In that moment when something feels stuck, rather go on a walk, run, weight lift, dance, whatever. The last step is always moving the energy. And then through that movement, you will start anchoring yourself. But it helps even more if you anchor through the portal that is you, anchor yourself down through the feet. Why? Because the more you are discarnate, which means the more fragmented you become, the less you want to be on earth, the more you're afraid of earth, the more you're afraid of life, the more you become like them. They're discarnate beings. This is what I channeled in our session yesterday, today. These beings, these what we call demons, whatever, they're simply discarnate entities. They are not light beings. Light beings, you would say, well, they're not physical beings too yet, but light beings have a body. It's just not a physical body. They're incarnate too. Except we're incarnated through light, intelligent bodies that are different than these resonating frequencies of our earthly bodies right now in this time, right? But these beings, they're neither in the light body, they're neither in the terrestrial body, they're discarnate. And because they don't understand love and how love moves through the terrestrial embodiment, whether it is a light being embodiment or a human embodiment, doesn't matter. It's the love of life. And because they don't understand it, they want to take it away from all those who have a chance in feeling that love. It's like they want to take this gift away. It's like a needy child. If I don't have it because I've never chosen it somehow, you won't have it as well. Or you won't have it either. You can see darkness and these discarded principles exactly like that. Like a needy child that doesn't want the others to feel the glory of God and the splendor and pleasure of life, because they don't. Because they're simply discarnate. Don't mistake light beings with discarnate entities. Totally different thing. We have bodies. I have my body. My original body is not here. It's a beautiful body. I long for my original body. But these beings do not. Okay? And that's why they do this and work so hard in gaining momentum in witchcraft and sorcery and black magic and all that. And the reason why in the last 2 years I talk mostly about darkness, but not in a dark way, in a light way, in an illumined way, is because there needs to be understanding of it. And no one so far as I've witnessed it, and I've gone through a lot and seen a lot, has spoken about it as directly, openly, and with such knowledge and precision as I have. For free. Not selling you books, not selling you courses about it. I do advanced materials, of course, on Patreon, because I still need to be provided for, and some things are not for everyone because you need to be initiated to understand that. But still, most that I give is free, is of love, is of my desire for beings to ascend, to keep on ascending, to keep the love flowing. But the desire I have for myself right now is to be successful in this mission. So please visualize me like that. Continuously come here, watch the videos, like or something, support. Send a donation, send a loving thought. Send your encouragement. Come to Patreon, buy a course, buy a crystal, buy my jewelry. I don't know, whatever. Just appreciate this work that's being done. Right? So far, I have only a few people, I can name them, that understand this principle. And most are just like, eh. And that's what literally shows me how small is still a percentage of those that understand, or at least want to understand, themselves as their original selves, born of illumined light. So I will go and take this to the extended update on Patreon. Thank you for listening. Be feisty, be fierce, be fearless. Don't let the darkness fool you. Because every time you have feelings of sadness, depression, angst, anxiety, worry, fear, anything like that, it's not you. It's not the truth. You worry if someone loves you. Do they love me? Do they still love me? Do they still care? Do they this? Oh, I can't. Oh, I betray them. Then I can come back. I can do. It's like all these thoughts, for example, heavy thoughts. It's just a story in your mind. Usually, right, when you do come and open up and share yourself and be vulnerable towards the other or towards the world, the truth will be something totally different than what the mind told you. The mind, the incepted mind. So darkness has these tiny little codes put in our bodies. Everyone has them who lives in this matrix. And I was given them through transgression because I didn't have them. Because I was not an ordinary incarnation, but I got them through transgression. So I understand how it works. It's like these tiny inscription codes within you that are anomalies, that are distortions. So you can fully feel and hear and sense the voice, the beingness, the truth of your soul. And when I say the soul, I mean the oversoul. That's what ascends you. All the particles, all the aspects that make up the you that is you now here. But it all starts with work, so get yourself going, maybe get a course. And thank you for being here and watching, even though it's summer. I'm just, right now I'm in the space where these videos keep me going. If I don't come and share my wisdom and share my insights, it's like it's all for nothing. It's all just in vain. So that's what's keeping me going. And the only thing I ask of you is to please at least consider making an appropriate and energetic exchange, and that's that. I'll see you next time. I will retreat now for a while because I really need it. I will do my Patreon videos, and then I don't know when the next video would come out. But this is what wanted to come out today, and it was a longer one because then I will take some time to really need to finish the housework, and I need to get back on my own 2 feet because it was hard for me, and it still is. So thank you for your love. I do need love just like anyone else. You know, people say, well, it's all within. Yes, but I also need love just like anyone. We're humans are social creatures, you know, we're tender creatures. We love to engage with words, with embraces, with cuddles, with hugs, with our bodies, you know, that's what we are. So thank you for understanding that I'm not just this mission agent, but I'm also human, and appreciate that this human also needs love, support, acknowledgement. So my beloveds, I love you all so much. I'll see you next time. Take care and enjoy your time as much as you can. Bye for now.